So what brought you to Concord, New Hampshire?
So I would say before we moved here, I moved to the area for a professional opportunity. I was living in Tilton,
Yeah.
and at the time, this was before the Main Street project, but even at that time, Main Street in Concord, I felt had a vibrancy and had some life, and I connected to sort of this city more so than I did to Tilton. So I would say when we moved up to this area in 2005, Concord sort of became my cultural base, if you will. We go out to eat here. We were members of the co-op, and then when the professional opportunity made it such that I had an opportunity to move for my job, we were happy to. My wife and I often said, "Wouldn't it be great if we could live in Concord someday?" So now we're here.
How is living in Concord different than you expected, if it is different?
I don't. I would say I didn't come in with any preconceived notions, so I'm, no real answer for that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. Was there anything that surprised you about life here in Concord?
Not especially, no. I find the city that I grew up, I call Concord sometimes a town. The town I grew up in, Connecticut, had about as population-wise, and in many ways was very similar to Concord. However, Concord being the state capital makes it unique in that way. My town was just a town. This is a city, but there are a lot of similarities to where I grew up. So, if anything, I'm surprised throughout my life where I feel like, oh, this feels a lot like where I grew up. So
no, that makes sense. Do you have any children?
Yes, I have two.
If how many? What age and gender are they?
So my son is 13, will be 14 in August, and my daughter is 12, just turned 12. I think, just turned 12 in May.
What is your goal as a parent?
Goal as a parent, to provide my children opportunities so that they can find joy in life. Hopefully to guide them and to be, to be there for them. But certainly to do everything I can. My parents work tirelessly to provide me opportunities, and when I feel as a parent, it's my duty and job that my kids have to come before me. They are my life.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. So there's just a couple, 3 more. So what does the word family mean to you? No, I'm kidding.
I think it means a lot of things at different times, but I think it's something, there's a value in it. I think it means connection. I think it means there's a sort of both sweet and sorrow at the same time. I think there are moments that you go through where your family, you don't pick and choose your family. They are the sort of hand you're dealt, and there are times where you are incredibly happy and proud to be around those folks, and there are trying times. But you can't just opt out of it, So I guess on one level it's a sort of commitment, and on another level it's sort of an opportunity. Like, hey, this is great. I'm connected to people by luck and fate. So
yeah, no, absolutely. What is your definition of happiness?
I don't know. I think it's pretty hard to define. I think there are, to use a word like contentedness, sort of, I think doesn't fully capture it. I think happiness is sort of, at moments to be free from want, but I think at the other times, happiness is actually wanting and working towards something. So I think that it's, it's not something that's based in money. It's not something that's based in sort of any one absolute. I think it's sort of the joy that comes from certain experiences, and also the ability to reflect on the journey of certain experiences. So, but I guess at the core of it, right? If you don't have your basic needs met, then that really puts all of that at risk, right? So if you have food insecurity, if you have insecurity of shelter, you can have moments of happiness. But I think there's always that constant fear that the reality that to have certain sort of basic need insecurities. I guess I feel fortunate that I've not been in that situation, but I would imagine at points in my life, in fact I even know at points in my life, it was when I think that phrase, the struggle is real, is sort of becomes a meme, and it becomes funny, but it's really not. Like, sometimes to emerge from the struggle can bring happiness, but sometimes to look back and think at the time that I was struggling was happy. But I think sort of those basic needs of life, if you don't have those met, that puts at a risk the ability for people to be happy, I would think.
Yes.
What is your greatest fear?
It can be like physical things like heights.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. I guess it's probably as I've gotten older, it's more sort of existential stuff. Like, what is what is life? I think you guys, you sort of, there are. As I was younger, I didn't have those moments, or I didn't have those things that I looked forward to as much. To have children, like, I don't fear that I will miss things, but what would be, so again, I don't think that my day-to-day life is not run by fear. It's run by opportunity. It's run by desire to sort of move forward. I don't sort of work from a base of fear, but it's certainly, there are, as I've gotten older, some, I guess there's that sense of, is another shoe going to drop? So how can I work hard to sort of try and, minimize the threats to my family and to me?
So last question, what is your greatest hope?
My greatest hope?
Yeah.
Well, I guess in a real sort of selfish way, it's that my kids will sort of move forward and sort of that they will have the sort of fulfilled life that they want by their standards, by their definitions. I don't want anything for them other than I want them to be really happy with their lives by their definitions. So I guess that's my selfish greatest hope, and certainly I to look forward and think, someday maybe sit back and enjoy life a little bit. But I I enjoy life now, so I guess my hope certainly personally would be for my children.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Thank you.